Ale Moreno and Steve Nicol. We'll start with breaking news that is coming out of the UK, is that Manchester City have officially put in a bid for Declan Rice. Reports are that it's £5 million more than Arsenal's initial bid. Julien Laurent joins us to give us all the latest on this. Jules, this is just breaking now. We've talked about it for a while. The City are interested, and now we know it's very true.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. We were waiting, really, for that first offer. Nothing would have happened without that formal offer, proper offer on the table for West Ham. The thing is, Karen Brady and the West Ham board are adamant that they want at least £100 million that they believe Declan Rice is worth, which is still short of the offer from Manchester City. The offer from City is short of that amount. Same with Arsenal. So I suspect, and I would think, that the answer from West Ham after this first offer from City is a rejection, like they did with the two offers that Arsenal have made already for Declan Rice, which were both below the £100 million mark. So I think City would have to come back with a better offer if they want to sign the player. But at least they got the ball rolling today with that first offer.
West Ham absolutely loving this, aren't they? Arsenal and City battling out for their star man. OK, simple. Who do you choose if you're Declan Rice?
Man City. Absolutely. 100%. I don't even think it's actually close.
Right.
You know, unless Declan Rice has been an Arsenal fan and has his blinkers on and wants to be in London, all of that periphery stuff.
Yes.
If that is more important to him, then he goes to Arsenal. But for football terms, get yourself on a car, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, whatever it takes to get yourself down to Man City.
So what happens? Stones goes to right back, he goes in the centre with Rodri?
That's a different question.
Right.
But I tell you what, he starts.
OK.
And he probably starts in a position where he hasn't... I'm not saying he hasn't played before, but I think he'll end up being a little bit further forward than he is with West Ham. Because obviously, defensively, he's the man they rely on to cover everybody, to win it back, to get it going. But I think he's got a lot more in his locker than that. And the fact that Rodri will still be there and so still play, I think Rodri's the one that will sit deeper. And Declan Rice will be a step further up. Which is bad news for all the other Premier League sides because it's going to be even harder to get out there because he's up there. So that's where he plays for me.
We've seen, though, player Jack Grealish, obviously the perfect example. Took a season for him to adapt to Pep Guardiola's way. Is it going to be the same sort of thing with Declan Rice?
Well, even the players that have taken a while under Pep Guardiola, eventually they see the light. And when they have that epiphany, then they become exponentially better players. We have players that when they talk about the experience of being coached by Pep Guardiola, they have difficulties to begin with, and then they find their role and they find their place. And once they find their place and their role, because they have gone through the tough time, they have now built a certain toughness about them and a certain level of performance about them because it's what the expectations of Pep Guardiola and Manchester City are. And that makes you a better player. The fact that you're competing all the time, every day, all day, every day, in order to get on the field, it can only make you better. And those that do not become better are no longer part of Manchester City. It is simple as that. Now, in terms of what he can bring that perhaps they don't quite have right now and why he would be helpful to have on the field, they become automatically more athletic through the midfield with their ability to press and counter-press. So what Steve was talking about, when Manchester City loses the ball, now they have a guy that can go hunting for the ball in a far more advanced position and that he can cover the ground. And he knows that he doesn't have to worry about what happens behind him because Rodri is right there. More athletic through the midfield. In terms of what they do with the ball, that's a different question. But certainly, if you're Manchester City, this for you is a good step forward.
I think it's fair to say that out of the two sides, Arsenal probably need him more. Jules, what is their next step? How can they persuade him to go there and not to the treble champions?
That's a good question. We discussed it a little bit the other day as well. Ali said something quite right by saying, like, if he wants to play and if he wants to be guaranteed to play every game, every minute, everything you want, he goes to Arsenal. if he wants that experience with Guardiola, probably winning titles, stuff like that, but he's not sure how many minutes he would get, certainly the first season. And, we look at Calvin Phillips. I think Declan Rice is a much better player than Calvin Phillips, but the Calvin Phillips experience, let's put it that way, at City has failed dramatically, massively. I mean, the guy was a good player in the Premier League, a key player for Leeds. He went there for much more money, pay rise, everything you want, and he's won a treble. Good for him. But it's hardly played, and he's clearly not wanted anymore. That's why they're going to sign a better player than him in Declan Rice. So you look at it in a different way. For Arsenal, to start with, get the West Ham agreement. So be the first one to get, if that's what you want, and maybe Arsenal can't afford 100 million for Rice, don't want to go that high for many reasons. But if you really want him, be the first one to get to 100 million and get the West Ham green light. And then try your best to get the green light then from Rice and finalize the deal. But you would expect as well, if you look at the two clubs, that financially City are more powerful than Arsenal for sure, and City will have money coming in because let's not forget a lot of players are going to leave City this summer. Potentially, 5, 6, Laporte, Gundogan has already gone, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Calvin Phillips, we're already on 5, Cancelo, that's 6, maybe Walker, that's 7. And apart from Gundogan, who's a free agent, everybody else is going to bring money into the club. So I think City financially are, obviously for obvious reasons, in a stronger position than Arsenal. But if you're Arsenal, you have to then get that green light from the club first and be there the first before City.
Is this a problem for the Premier League? City get Declan Rice,
so, no.
City get Guardiola, a team that's just won everything, is stronger?
I don't think so. It pushes. Number one, the most important thing is Manchester City are a fantastic football team. And they would win any league they're in, never mind the Premier League. So if I'm an owner of the Premier League and the best team in the Premier League, albeit they might have won it the last 3 years on the trot, they are a fantastic side and they're pushing the other teams to get better. And the other teams are spending money to get better. So you've got 4 or 5 teams that are going to spend a lot of money chasing Man City.
But they can't attract the quality that City can.
How's that a bad thing?
Well,
how is that a bad thing?
Because City are always going to get the best players.
But then the others have to find a way. Liverpool found a way, right? Arsenal almost found a way. You got Chelsea spending $500 million on players.
Yeah,
but that's not the point. The point is that Manchester City are pushing teams to spend $500 million on players. And if they pick the wrong players, or if there are players that are just going to go to City, then OK, so be it, because they're that good. I would be more worried if I'm the Bundesliga, where we've got a team winning the league, Bayern Munich, who are miles away from being as good as they should be, considering the money they have in the league they're in. And they're winning it 10 times in a row. I see that as a problem. I don't see Man City winning the Premier League 3 years in a row as a problem. I don't. I think it pushes everybody, and the football is fantastic. So I really don't know what everybody wants. Do you want 5 or 6 teams that are on a level below what Man City play? Do you want to bring in rules where just because you got more money, you can't go and get who you want? Do you want rules like that? No. Listen, if the gap was Bayern Munich-esque, then I would say there's a problem, but I don't see it being a problem at all.
Jules, do you think it's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem personally. I know they won it the last five of the last 6 seasons, sorry. So you could look at it and say, okay, they're super dominant, which they are. But we've said before, again, that they've been pushed many of those 5, okay, maybe one of those 5 seasons, they haven't been pushed and they won the title by 25 points. Apart from that, 2 of them, they're 1 point clear of Liverpool. Last season, okay, in the end, the gap is a little bit wider, but Arsenal pushed them all the way, pretty much all the way. So it's not like if they're just walking the league and finishing unbeaten every season and winning it by 25, 30 points by destroying everybody 7-0. It's not like that. They lost 5 games last season. 5 defeats in a 38 season. Even for a dominant team, that's a lot. That is a lot. Liverpool lost 1 game 1 season and they still didn't win the league because City were there against them. So we can't say that it's unfair or it's boring or they're just working the league, there's no point, and all of that discussion. And that's why the discussion is not happening here. You know, otherwise, trust me, with all the media here and all the newspapers and everything, it would be much bigger than what it is. People don't complain about cities being dominant. Okay, you can complain about being owned by a state, but that's a very different topic and debate. But the debate on the pitch, Stevie was saying they're the best team in the world, they're the best team in the league in England, and they've been for a while, but they've also been pushed. They got to this point because behind them, teams were pushing, making them getting better season after season to get to the treble. But if Liverpool are not that strong, if Arsenal are not pushing, if United are not trying, if Chelsea are not spending, City don't become the team that they were last season, for example. And Bayern haven't been pushed. Okay, maybe now and again, once by Dortmund, sometimes by Leipzig, maybe Gladbach one season, maybe somebody else, Leverkusen another year. But they've never been pushed like City have been pushed. And that's why they've been super dominant. City have not been super dominant.